Back again. See if I can find something to read. Obviously, the title is Appearance and Control. I want to talk about the shameless society. I've seen a few videos on that recently. Um, I want to talk about creating the effect and daring to dream. Usually, I find when I'm observing collaboration in the creative act, I find myself surrounded by a lot of egos. In a creative act, I really don't necessarily mean um, just being an artist and creating in strictly artistic way. I'm talking about like people and their ability to creatively adapt to each moment. Um, I suppose I notice now that there isn't really any sort of creative adapting. It's more of collective um, a collective momentum or formula that's already kind of existed that that is what you're stemming your adaptability from. And I think when you're creating in your environment in a very moment to moment thing, it takes new ideas to really change anything. And it's not that new ideas are not um, able to sort of exist nowadays, but the way in which we have access to the direct pipeline to culture and the pipeline to new ideas itself is much more dramatic in the way it's delivered to each individual or communities or cities or countries. And I believe our sort of mentality towards this sort of system we find ourselves in is rather childish in our ability to express ourselves creatively with sort of what's given to us. And personally, I find that our attention towards this sort of area is completely directed and based in the wrong sort of position, or it's not based in any sort of foundation. It's based on a lot of reactionary states of being that are produced in high ecstasy and I guess tribalistic and trivial places where emotions can be properly expressed. Um, what's interesting now about the way in which information is distributed is that certain systems thrive off of our ability to aesthetically paint the the goal in which the idealistic image is more potent or brighter than the true work that is necessary to sort of create these areas or these new ideas that are necessary to further further push humanity in a direction of naturalistic tendencies that I think we've sort of forgotten in the way in which we now sort of we directly connect to sort of reality and the present moment through language. And whereas before I think we existed in a more telepathic, um, animalistic, communicative way, and I think that sort of still exists, but the collective of humanity has been in such a momentous stride of language that we can no longer see the end, or we can no longer see the beginning, nor see where this end may lie. And I think this is sort of creating effects in which that are almost hidden in the design. Um, this is probably where I should start writing down more and writing certain ideas and reading not from a script but more from like a direction. Um, I find that most of the momentum people are in, mentally or physically, they cannot see their way out of it. They cannot see their way outside of the language that they're wrapped up in. And to simply, I guess, from my own personal experiences, you can only do so much for individuals who claim to want to know, or that claim to want to seek creative boundaries and limitations, or the unlimited side of creativity. Because in language, you can say these things, but in true action, it's hard to direct this sort of behavior, especially now because I think we're all in this sort of hunter prey sort of relationship, or predator and prey relationship, because we're always being watched in some sort of way. And most people now are constantly trying to strategize against you and measure you and to compare their wallet size to you, or the expenses of whatever. We're almost letting the effect create us. What do I mean by the effect? The effect of everything that is involved in this sort of instantaneous information and communicative system that we all hold in our hands, or the screens embedded in the internet and different camouflages. I think it's very hard for me to, especially in the circumstance I'm in, there's not many people that I've found so far, probably due to my own unwillingness and my love for being a hermit at times. But I haven't found too many people who are able to see past the cultural restraints or the limitations of language. Most I find are embedded in some sort of ideological system that they 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 would die in. They would defend till they turned gray and old and fragile. Hmm. A shameless society and daring to dream. I've noticed that there is a large majority of humans now. There's too many of us, first of all. There's so many of us, and we're only multiplying more and more. There's a large majority of humans who are completely unconscious almost, and they're talking monkeys basically, and they have this sort of shameless tendency to behave amongst the cultural acts that are sort of existing amongst communities. Um, they're usually younger, these groups, but the older generations are more embedded in other worries, other activities. Kind of varies between the younger crowd being more into stimulants and culturally bounded popularity, and this older generation is more embedded in drugs in general, depressants or suppressants, and they love to just sort of soak in their dwellings. And these sort of groups are almost dictating the environments that would be described as the third space, or even the algorithmic space that in which time is occupied. Um, there's a catering towards just behavior that is completely shameless. I mean, I lived in the country my whole life, and then I moved, or I lived in the suburbs here and there, and a little bit of the city. Um, but I lived in the country for majority of my life, and there wasn't too much diversity. But now, I moved to the city, and it's a weird place here. It's a weird place. There's a lot of shamelessness. There's not a lot of dreamers though. There's a lot of culturally bounded people who think they're dreaming, but it's really just almost the programmed um, narrative that's been sort of programmed into the people through algorithms, and they're sort of just getting pushed towards this consumeristic, materialistic behavior, and they're all just generating trash like it's no tomorrow, no tomorrow. And there tends to not be a second thought about it, no consideration. And even in the sort of more youthful environments, there's not much consideration other than this feeling of being in a superiority or more of a superior egoist state of control and of the highs of direct experience, but mainly of attention and being seen. And this whole economy of being seen and farming people for their attention is, is such a fuel for fascism and materialism and consumeristic tendencies and societies. And I think in a sad way, I think the only thing we can really do is let these people just live their life for a minute. But I don't feel like that's going to happen. I don't know if time can really save us any longer. I don't think we can just wait for people to die or wait for someone else to do anything. I think we're going to have to start restricting access just as the elites are. And that'll come with consequences. I think I'll give a more detailed, um, more written out talk about access points because I saw something recently that just struck a nerve of synchronicities or a synchronicity within my own life and within this sort of idea I've been working on for quite a while. Being access points is there was a I want to hold on. Let me make sure this is right. It was so dystopian. It's literally Donald Trump selling early access to his tweets. Whenever you're watching this, look that up if you have access. And I mean, there's already that. I mean, that sort of society has existed of people buying Patreons or buying into things, but um, it's interesting for a president to release something of that sort. I don't know. There's a lot we could say. I feel too young to be talking like this. Hmm. Little piece of advice. You're going to find that you're going to be around and interacting with a lot of unconscious people. It's very important you do not get it entangled, and it'll be very easy to get entangled. They will try to siphon your energy, but it's very important you stick to your work, you stick to your studies, you stick to your interests, your curiosity, your ability to dream, you're daring yourself to dream. And give yourself access. Like, here's a stupid painting I just made today. Don't know why I painted it. It's still drawing, I think. But it's kind of like a person. Sucks at the sun, but paint nonsense. Paint, what I'm gonna start doing is I have these little. I don't have any near me, but well, actually, I have one of these. But basically, the idea is I'm gonna start putting these everywhere. Little posts, little paintings. I'm gonna try to nail them places. That'd be fucking dope. Because I think it'd be interesting for people to take them. But I think more importantly, they need to be seen, even if they are small. We need to sort of take our society back from these architects of fucking, I don't know, modernity that are so mundane, too modern. The modern sort of style is so bland and so repetitive and so formalized. It's getting fucking boring. It's getting very boring. Carry on.